Here's a comparison of the policy and political positions of Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Position on healthcare: Donald Trump aims to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, also known as Obamacare, whereas Joe Biden would like to expand it. Economic policy: Donald Trump enacted tax cuts that lowered the tax rate on corporations from 35% to 20%. This significant reduction aimed to stimulate economic growth by allowing businesses to retain more of their earnings, which in theory would be reinvested into the economy. The idea was that with more capital, corporations could expand operations, hire more employees, and increase wages. This policy was part of a broader strategy to make the United States more competitive on the global stage, attracting both domestic and foreign investments. Critics, however, argued that these tax cuts disproportionately benefited the wealthy and large corporations, potentially increasing income inequality and adding to the national deficit. On the other hand, Joe Biden has proposed increasing the income tax rate for the top bracket from 37% to 39.6%. This policy is rooted in the belief that the wealthiest individuals should contribute a fairer share to the nation's revenue. The additional funds generated from this tax increase are intended to support social programs, infrastructure projects, and reduce the national debt. Biden's approach reflects a different economic philosophy, one that emphasizes income redistribution and social equity. Supporters of this policy argue that it will help bridge the gap between the rich and the poor, providing more opportunities for the middle and lower income families. However, opponents fear that higher taxes on the wealthy could discourage investment and economic growth, potentially leading to slower job creation and wage stagnation. The debate over these contrasting economic policies highlights the broader ideological divide between the two administrations, each with its own vision for the future of America's economy. Student loan forgiveness. Joe Biden has tried several initiatives to forgive, reduce, or pause payments on student loan debt, while Donald Trump has not attempted any such policies. Fiscal policy is a crucial tool used by governments to influence a nation's economic activity. It involves the use of government spending and taxation to impact the economy. During the COVID-19 pandemic, former President Donald Trump launched the Coronavirus Aid, Relief, and Economic Security (CARES) Act, a significant piece of legislation aimed at providing economic relief to individuals and businesses affected by the pandemic. The CARES Act included several key programs such as the Paycheck Protection Program, PPP, which provided loans to small businesses to keep their workforce employed, and the Economic Injury Disaster Loan, EIDL program, which offered financial assistance to businesses suffering substantial economic injury due to the pandemic. When President Joe Biden took office, he introduced the American Rescue Plan Act, ARPA, another comprehensive relief package designed to address the ongoing economic challenges posed by the pandemic. ARPA aimed to accelerate the United States recovery by providing direct financial assistance to individuals, extending unemployment benefits, and supporting vaccination efforts. In addition to ARPA, President Biden also launched the Infrastructure Investment and Jobs Act, a landmark piece of legislation focused on rebuilding and modernizing the nation's infrastructure. This act aims to create jobs, improve transportation networks, and enhance broadband access across the country. Together, these fiscal policies reflect the government's efforts to stabilize and stimulate the economy during challenging times. Regulation. Donald Trump favors less regulation to be more business-friendly, whereas Joe Biden favors more regulation to control pollution. Minimum wage. Joe Biden has proposed increasing the minimum wage to $15 per hour nationwide, whereas Donald Trump opposes this, saying states should set the minimum wage. Stance on China. Both Joe Biden and Donald Trump have criticized China for the trade imbalance between the two countries, stealing U.S. intellectual property and not being open to U.S. companies doing business in China. This issue has been a significant point of contention in U.S.-China relations for many years. The trade imbalance, where the U.S. imports far more from China than it exports, has led to a substantial trade deficit. This deficit is seen by many as a threat to American jobs and industries, Both administrations have taken steps to address these concerns. For instance, tariffs have been imposed on Chinese goods to make them more expensive and less attractive to American consumers, thereby encouraging the purchase of domestically produced items. Additionally, there have been efforts to protect U.S. intellectual property from being stolen or copied by Chinese entities. This includes stricter regulations and enforcement measures. Diplomatic efforts have also been made to open up the Chinese market to U.S. companies, allowing them to compete on a more level playing field. However, these efforts have met with varying degrees of success, and the issue remains a complex and ongoing challenge. The stance on China is not just about trade. It also encompasses broader geopolitical concerns, including China's growing influence in global affairs and its human rights record. Both Biden and Trump have emphasized the need for a strong and strategic approach to dealing with China, balancing economic interests with national security and ethical considerations.